I think if anything else, just how wonderful the association has been. I mean, that without that roadmap ahead of us, we'd be lost. I don't think in other areas of disease or illnesses you have that support. It just, it's like you got this diagnosis and you got a handbag with you, and it, it tells you what to do. And I don't know what I'd do without, every single one of those folks. So I think that's important to, know that I think people are where they are and because of them. So.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Connecting ALS. I am one of your hosts, Mike Stevenson, joined by my colleague and co-host, Jeremy Holden. Hello to you, Jeremy.
Hey, Mike. Good to be here with you this week. Looking forward to a great episode.
Yeah, me too. And we'll touch on this a little more at the end of the show, but I am a little sad to report that this is going to be my final episode as your co-host on this podcast. But we will get into that a little more at the back end of the show because we have a really great guest lined up for this week. Sue Seabrook from New Jersey was willing to come on and during ALS Awareness Month share the story of her mother's diagnosis with ALS and kind of how their family is finding ways to live in the moment during this time.
Yeah, Mike, we reached out to Sue to see if she would share her story on the association's blog, and we'll share that in the show notes, and really just kind of embrace the concept of the moments that matter, of the theme that the association is using to raise awareness throughout the month of May, and just talked about some of those seemingly small everyday moments that matter to her and how they've changed and the impact that her mother's diagnosis with ALS has had on moments big and small that all come together to make up life.
It was an extremely well-written and thoughtful piece that she produced for the blog. We will link to that, as we'd said, and we encourage you to give that a read because it's so well done. But Sue had some really nice things to say. Let's listen back to our interview with her now. We're on the phone today with Sue Seabrook of New Jersey, who is, among many things, an ALS caregiver who has chosen to share her family's story during ALS Awareness Month, a story that was featured in a recent ALS Association blog post, which we will share in our show notes. But Susan, thanks for joining us on Connecting ALS.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for sharing that story with the world to help raise awareness for this disease, particularly important during May, which is ALS Awareness Month. It was your mother who has been diagnosed with ALS. And as you thoughtfully explained in the blog piece you wrote, it's something that has understandably deeply impacted your whole family.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
And can you talk a little bit about, after receiving the news and your mother's diagnosis, just kind of how you as a family reacted to that and the sort of plans that you made out of the gate?
Sure. I think we are just, we're fixers by nature, and, we want to fix people and fix things. And we're a very strong, close-knit family. And so we were all together at that first appointment. We actually had a friend that got us in rather quickly. These appointments and diagnoses can take a long time. And, my husband's best friend's a neurologist, so they drove down here to where I live in New Jersey, and then we shot up to Pennsylvania to UPenn, and my sister took off work, and it was all happened in a period of 24 hours. She went for a checkup for, normal checkup, and her foot was dropping a little, and then all the pieces kind of came together, and we were at UPenn 2 days later, with this diagnosis. And so there were lots of questions, and, it hit us blindsided. We didn't have months and months of testing. So we just researched, we called friends, we called doctors we knew, what can we do? How can we, what medicine can we try? What trial can we get in? And it was just kind of we felt behind the eight ball already, we had to catch up. So we just panicked, I guess, reacted. And then, I remember, I don't really remember that much about that time. It's kind of a blur of doctor's appointments and, and whatnot. And it was right before COVID hit. So we had a family meeting. It was like 2 weeks prior, and my cousins and aunts and uncles, and we all came together. And my mom said, I can't tell this news twice. I can't tell it 3 times. I'm going to tell it once. So we all sat in my parents' family room, and she told everyone, or I told everyone the news. And, we cried, and we just vowed from that moment on that we were going to face this thing together. And, everything that came our way, we've done together. So.
Yeah, and Sue, one of the things you talk about how everybody in the family is impacted, and that comes through as you're kind of going back through those early days after the diagnosis, and also just so many aspects of life can be impacted by the diagnosis, but through the journey with ALS. The association, of course, focusing this month on those moments that matter in life, and one of the ones that really struck me in your piece was those moments, the moment in the car. So talk to us a little bit about how how school drop off changed a little bit for you.
Yeah. So, whenever I'm in the car, I call my mom. It's kind of my thing. And, I feel like you arrive at the place before you even know you left because you're just chatting, chatting, chatting. And that's always been my thing. I drop off my littlest and then I call my mom and I'm home before I know it. And now I don't call her. I try not to because her voice is going and she has to save it. So I try to send her a text in the morning, and just say, hey, the kids slept great last night. Hope you did too. And go from there. And that's kind of how things have changed as far as that goes. So I feel like car rides for me are the toughest because I think about her, so I don't call her, and that absence I think is definitely, what I feel the most.
Yeah, those adjustments can be so challenging to make, particularly at first as you are experiencing those incremental losses. And in your story, you went into detail about processing the loss of your mother's voice and how difficult that is. And we often hear from individuals living with ALS that it takes time to grieve each physical loss that occurs as their disease progresses. But I mention that because you concluded those particular remarks talking about filming sillier moments with your daughter and her grandmother, and the times that you spend sitting quietly with your mom and a cup of coffee in the morning. How important has it been since your mom's diagnosis, Sue, to kind of seek out those moments, those lighter moments, and embrace them as they happen?
Really, really important. I think the toughest part is hiding those emotions from my kids while still capturing them. So my oldest daughter is 12 and she's at that tween stage and she doesn't want to be bothered by me or anyone really for that matter. But I want her to spend time with her grandmother but I can't tell her why. So,
Mm.
they play rummy together. That's kind of their thing. They play cards. And so, I'll take pictures or I'll be videoing a game and she'll look at me like, Mom, why are you videoing us? Or they all do that. And
Sure.
so, yeah, I think that I'm just trying to or my mom will FaceTime the kids because she lives in New York and I live in New Jersey. So when she's not here, she wants to see them. But if they're playing a game or, they're watching a TV show, I don't want to say they don't want to be bothered, but it's harder to, get them off those things. And I know that every moment matters. So, whether it's that 15-minute FaceTime or just telling her about school that day, to them, it's a Tuesday, but to her, is this my last Tuesday? So
Mm.
I feel like, those things are a little harder to manage right now.
Sure,
um,
sure.
you know,
Yeah. Now, another moment that I believe you all just recently celebrated, you did a vow renewal for your
we did,
parents.
we did.
Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that, about how that came to pass and how that went and the kind of the meaning behind that?
So my mom was diagnosed in February of last year, and at her appointment, we're all processing ALS. What does this mean? And she says to the doctor, I just want to live to my 50th wedding anniversary. And that has always been a thing of hers. And I think in a world where, 1 and 2 marriages end in divorce, just having what they have is an accomplishment. But my parents were high school sweethearts. They married young and they do everything together. They go to the grocery store together. They,
Sure.
everything. It's unheard of, I think, these days. So my parents were married 49 years on May 6th that just passed. And
Wow.
my sister and I, yeah, wow, right? We were thinking, okay, next year is 50. And in the last couple months, a lot has been declining. Her voice, she doesn't move. And we thought, the rule is we celebrate everything right now and we celebrate, report cards, we celebrate anything. And so we thought, let's do this now. So we reached out to their local parish and talked to the priest. And my mom hasn't stepped foot inside a church since COVID. So in and
Mm.
of itself, we knew she'd be excited for that. She's, a woman very into her faith. And so we called the priest and they were able to open up there's a smaller church behind the church they go to. It's like a little chapel, and that's actually where they got married. So
Mm.
he was able to open that up and we did a ceremony. We hired a photographer and my mom's 3 bridesmaids are still living. So they all came. Some folks drove, 6 hours round trip. We did it on a Thursday too. So a Thursday, is a little
Sure.
tough to get everyone at noon to get everyone together. So everyone came. We did a little vow renewal, and she has 5 grandchildren, and they were all involved. They did the readings and held the rings, and everyone got little bouquets, even the little kids, and boutonnieres. So she was surprised. So this was all, unbeknownst to her. She showed up, and we ordered a shirt, had it delivered to her house, said, "You're wearing this." And my sister did her makeup that morning. And so she showed up. She knew it was something that we were getting together, and it was her anniversary. It was actually on her anniversary. So, but when she came in and saw, 25 of her closest friends and family in there, she was just very overwhelmed. And then we had a little party afterwards at a golf course, and it was perfect. It was beautiful.
What
Yep.
a lovely moment and a way to celebrate your mother and their romance. 49 years. That is incredible. That is
Yeah.
incredible. That is a milestone.
And we kind of switched it into, like, we didn't want her to be sad about this because,
Sure.
there's a reason we're doing it at 49, not 50. But my aunt had like a great way of, summarizing it. She said, well, as of tomorrow, they're entering their 50th year. So we kind of like turned it all around, and that was it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that story as well. You talked, Sue, about the hope for treatments and breakthroughs that could make a real difference for your mom and thousands of others currently living with ALS. How closely do you and your family follow the news that comes out of the scientific community about ongoing ALS research? And do those developments in that news give you hope for the future?
I probably followed the most. I think once my mom was diagnosed, she Googled ALS and then, shut the computer off, and hasn't really to this day. But my sister and I do. Yeah, we follow the news, and it's exciting, and I think it's overwhelming. But, we see an article, and tons of folks send us things, like friends and family. We'll get flooded with something we read that morning. And
Sure.
I think it's so exciting. And this is probably going to sound terrible, but I wish I was here 5 years from now, because I really think that, the Ice Bucket Challenge and all these wonderful things that have brought attention to this disease are going to help. And they're going to, they're going to let people live more quality of lives. And I'm excited for that. And, I'm excited for those people. I'm excited for people that will benefit from that. And I'm still hopeful that, that we'll get something out of it. So I think that's something you can't give up hope. And, these things they're exciting, no matter what breakthrough it is, small or big. It's exciting.
That's a nice message.
Yeah, that's great. And Sue, it occurs to me, we're having this conversation during ALS Awareness Month, and it is an opportunity to kind of break through to, folks who maybe go about their days and don't think about ALS, on a day-to-day basis. So maybe they don't see the impact, that it hasn't had an impact on their lives. So folks who are tuning in because it's ALS Awareness Month and are maybe hearing about this for the first time, maybe since the Ice Bucket Challenge, what do you want them to know about ALS?
I think I just want them to know that, it's still here, and there's still a lot of people affected by it. And it doesn't just affect one person, it affects so many people. And I think, people die every day and people get sick every day, but this is a beast, and there's no nice way to put it. As I wrote, I have a 12-year-old, and I can't explain it to her. I can't, I don't want her to Google it. And I really can't explain it. I can't explain it to my 12-year-old, let alone my 10-year-old. So it's a lot. And those that are fighting this and have fought it, my hat off to you, because there's nothing like it. And those that, it's a little bit, and I don't want to get worked up, but it's like mourning someone who's still here. And, there's not that much light at the end of the tunnel right now. And I wish, I hope there's more light soon. And I think that's what I'd like them to know. And I'd like the people that, the wonderful man that passed away that started, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, that started the Ice Bucket Challenge, like, what a hero. I mean, to see what he's done for this community and how much funds, have come out of that, and what now, is trickling down the road because of it is just amazing. And I think that the more awareness, the more to come like that, which is, it's great.
You're referencing Pete Frates and Pat Quinn, both
Thank you. Yes.
lost to ALS, and you're right, they were such instrumental figures, and since then, having people like you, Sue, and your family share their story and relate to those stories and open the world's eyes about how ALS impacts families has really, really made a huge difference. And that's what is compelling people to get involved and to make a difference and help us create a world without ALS. That's what we're all striving for. And right now it's for treatments that are going to slow the progression down and give people a higher quality of life. And because you are helping to open those eyes, we can't thank you enough for being willing to share.
Sue, we're having this conversation here in May, and, obviously Memorial Day right around the corner, which means summer's coming. Vaccines are rolling out, quarantines are rolling back. Are you guys looking ahead to any future travel plans to go and visit your mom?
We are. So my mom and dad, one of their favorite vacation spots is Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. They've been going for years, and we went last year, and it was during a scary time. So we literally drove down and stayed in a house and didn't leave. So I'm looking forward to going there again. We rented a house for the middle of the summer and just kind of, exploring a little more, not being afraid to go on the beach. We rented the handicap wheelchair, the bed, the Hoyer lift, like everything is being delivered there. So we're excited. We're excited for that. And just trips I live down near the Jersey Shore, and my mom likes coming down there. So we're trying to get ramps in place to get her down by the pool area and things like that. So yeah, we're excited for the summer, and we're hoping that, she has a good time.
Nice.
Some good moments ahead. It looks like you're planning on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a
For
memorable
sure.
summer. Well, thank you again so much, Sue, for sharing your story and your mom's story. And we wish you nothing but the best this summer as you get together and try to make some more memories.
Thanks for having me. It means a lot.
Well, Mike, such a great conversation we were able to have, and so many that we've been able to participate in over the past year plus that we've been doing the show week to week, and just another really powerful and inspiring conversation that we were able to have.
Yeah, it was great to meet Sue and hear her story. And as we mentioned to her, sharing stories like hers and her mom's, that's how we compel people to get involved and how we open the world's eyes to ALS and show them how it impacts families and encourage them to help us create a world without ALS.
Couldn't agree more, Mike. Those personal stories are so powerful and so important to bring new people into the fight. And now, we bid you adieu. You mentioned sad news at the top of the hour, and I just have to say it's been an honor and a privilege sharing this format with you, sharing this podcast, this platform with you, going back to last March, and really hopeful that I can carry it forward, and that the association can carry it forward and do honor to the concept that you brought forward. And just, again, it's been an honor and a privilege working with you, and I look forward to seeing what you do next and being in touch.
Thank you, Jeremy. Very, very kind of you to say and I echo those remarks. It's been so wonderful to be in this podcast space with you as a co-host and working with Garrett, our amazing producer, as well as Morgan and Rachel on our team to make this show happen. And it's really meant a lot to me. And I know that the podcast will continue and that you're going to find some really fantastic new voices to be part of the show. So I look forward to listening to that. And I won't be going far. I'm moving on to a new opportunity outside the association, but I'm going to stay as close as I can to the cause because it does mean a lot to me. And I want to make sure that I'm still a part of this fight.
Well, we look forward to having you continue in the fight going forward.
Thank you. And on that note, you can still continue to find Connecting ALS at connectingals.org or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We appreciate hearing from you in the social spaces as well. This episode is produced by Garrett Tiedemann of the ALS Association's Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota chapter. Thank you all for listening. We will connect with you again soon.